still one of my favorite Katzbalger in my collection, and it's soon going to a new home. So before it's out of my collection, let's see some spec from it. The Kingston Arm Katzbalger, it's one of the best sword I think Kingston Arms has ever made. Now Kingston Arm is already a fairly nicely well-branded sword maker, but they really outdid themselves this time. You're gonna find many of the Kingston Arm product for a relatively decent price, maybe around 300, 400, sometimes you can find some at double that price range. But man, this one specifically, it is just so good. But the thing is that I do have like 5 other Katzbalgers, so and I don't use Katzbalgers, so I feel like this definitely belong in a better home. With a 25-inch blade, this makes it a cute little short sword as per se in close quarter formation, especially when you're serving in the Landsknecht army, where you don't really have a lot of space to use. And if it is, you're probably gonna have like other swords in mind. So this, of course, is going to be a bit of a sidearm. However, when you're in a tight jam pike formation and you just don't have a lot of space, this 25-inch blade sometimes to some people can even be a little bit long. So we're going to see some Katzbalger that's as short as almost like a long dagger at 18-inch, 25, and I've technically seen one at 28-inch, but that is like out of the norm. So, Vinheim sharp sword. So, this 5-inch blade Katzbalger, it's quite serviceable. Now, assuming that you're not going to be fighting anyone with a sharp sword, so yeah, this one is sharp. We're going to see a lot of the other Kingston Arm blade are actually quite dull. This one, when I originally got it, I did not get a sharpening service, so it is still quite sharp. Now, I can run my finger along it, but I'm not going to like do it too forcefully. And this Katzbalger will have quite of a point to it. This point is not overly too sharp, but of course if you still get a nice thrust into it, you for sure will be able to puncture most fabric. Definitely not a nail breaker as per se. This 5160 high carbon steel, it's not that flexy, so it's quite good in, well, sturdiness. What I absolutely love about this Katzbalger is its triple foiler on the blade profile. It is just so stunning. It has a main foiler that goes up to almost 2/3 of the blade with 2 little other side foiler, and they are perfectly done on either side. The handle itself is just a beautiful work of art. We're gonna find that majority of the handle itself is actually, well, a pommel, which is just so unique. It's a beautiful feature. Running along the entire handle are these small little wire wrapping indentation, and they also copy that along the handle as well. The groove actually going to handle the wire wrap actually doesn't vibe all the way in here. However, we're gonna see that this actually goes into a triple wiring. It's just so beautiful, and we have a beautiful big size handguard as to most Katzbalger that we see as an example. And of course, if you still need, you can definitely still thumb the back of your blade. What astounds me about this handle is how smooth the transition piece, and once my hand fit on the back of the pommel, or at least the handle itself, it's just super comfy. I held on to this sword with gauntlet on, with bare hand, and of course with glove on, and I've already cut pumpkins with this once, and it went through like a lightsaber. Now given that maybe the pumpkin is like a week old, but hey, it's fantastic. So at the bottom of this pommel is that there's extra engraving onto it. It's just, the quality of detail is just absolutely fantastic. The fitting of the blade to the handguard, it's super jam tight. We're gonna see a bit of epoxy coming through, but I think that's quite normal, especially when this blade is only like 400 and 500 bucks, something like that. Canadian we're talking about. So, and then if we're looking at the Katzbalger right here, one of the main reasons why I actually got it is because I actually wanted to build a sparring sword. So this right here, it is actually a nut construction. So in theory, you can actually put an Allen key through it, and then you can kind of twist it off, get the blade out, and then hopefully you can actually put in a blunt sparring blade. But of course, having multiple Katzbalger already, I actually have 2 sparring versions. So I kind of left this one alone and I never actually took it apart. Especially when we just talked about there's a bit of epoxy happening inside the handle. I didn't want to crack anything open, accidentally damage anything and whatnot, so I just kind of left it to its own device. However, if you are a little bit more explorative in turning a sharp into blunt, reenactment use, HEMA use, and then putting your sharp back in, so then you can do any test cutting, this is actually quite a good sword for you to do that. Another note is that I really wish I know how much each individual component actually weighs. The entire sword weigh in at 970 grams. So it is not a typically light sword, but the thing is a lot of the weight actually balances onto the handle itself, making the point of balance to be only roughly around, let's say 2.5 inch, 3 inch away. And this is super fast for you to swing around. It's just super fun. Because it actually doesn't have a pommel, so we don't have to worry so much about the tang actually falling apart. Very much like the iconic side sword from another Kingston arm product. This is technically same sharpness level as the Katzbalger, but we're gonna see other Kingston arm product will have a twist on pommel rather than a nut construction. As a set for buying the sword, of course, you will get the scabbard. This one is a wood core scabbard that is going to be all throughout this whole thing, and it's beautifully done with all genuine leather. Now, these are actually pretty thick leather, okay? Like, sometimes people talk about genuine leather and it's like thin plastic. This is like a lot of leather, guys. So we're gonna see the top chafe part right here. That is roughly a good 3mm leather, and with another leather right here that is roughly around 1mm to 2. I don't know how much that is in ounce, okay? And then even on the inside, there's actually another layer of leather on the inside. So if we look at the core profile, you're gonna see that the outer layer, it's that thick band around it. You have another layer, and then you have a hard layer. I think the black part is a hard layer, so there's a chance that actually is plastic, maybe. But then again, after that, you have another layer of leather, so that is actually fantastic. I was really attracted to this scabbard, and I actually learned quite a lot from handling this, because that additional layer of leather actually helped to retain a lot of the oil that is on the blade. And of course, if you have some moisture, at least it's going into the leather and not into the blade itself. So I quite enjoy that level of detail in this scabbard. It is a very solid scabbard. So if you have to use it like a pairing device, by all means, I'm sure this will actually take quite a bit of a hit before it breaks. And at the end of it, we have that beautiful little shape that is on there. We're gonna see a lot of Katzbalger ending of the scabbard actually had this big little, kind of like it's butterfly biscuit or pretzel kind of thing. But this one, it doesn't have that. A lot of the shape on the end of the scabbard is actually quite big and bulbous, just because the handguard is actually quite heavy, so you need a bit of that cannon balance. But of course, once the blade like goes in, if you hold the scabbard like normally on the top of the shape, the blade itself is heavy enough that it will actually slant quite appropriately, and we're not gonna have to worry about the blade actually falling apart. We're gonna see some painting as per se, or wood carvings, seeing Katzbalger actually being hung horizontally like that. So, have it as you will. However you pleases to wear it is as pleases you draw it, and pleases you no matter what. So, another part about the scabbard is that it comes out super nicely. It's just such a easy draw mechanism, but if you turn it around, the blade by and large stay in there. Okay, well, if you shake it, I guess it'll come out. But yeah, it's pretty good. Like, it doesn't just slide out, it like do stuff to it. So, I quite like this. And the stitching at the back itself, it's quite nice and tight. So, what are the cons about this Katzbalger? Because I've been saying a lot about pros onto it. Well, of course, it's because one of my favorite swords of all times. But I say that about a lot of swords, so I guess take it as you will. I just really like swords. I guess the con is that it's, I don't know, I really like that sword. It's really cool. Like, it's just such a badass looking sword. But the reality of it is that the con is discontinued. They no longer make this Katzbalger model for whatever reason. So if you were able to get your hand on one of this, yeah, snipe it up. And if you are a Katzbalger collector of enthusiast about handling one of this, go pick one up. Because if you miss the chance of getting one of this, or like what's happening right now is that you miss the chance of getting a recirculated piece on the market, you're probably going to be hard pressed to find another Katzbalger of this quality. So there you go, people. Thank you again for watching this short little video about this Kingston arm Katzbalger. And if you want to see a video about that Kingston arm side sword, I will be making a video on that really soon. So thank you again for adopting this Katzbalger of mine, and I had it for a couple of years now, and man, there's actually no rust on this. Aside from that little fingerprint I just put on, I will clean that up. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, or if you have any ideas on how I can set my videos up, what else do you want to see? Do you guys want to see doing more cutting and stuff like that? Let me know, because the more idea you give me, the more I will put onto these videos. Well, once again, it's Ken here from the One Punch Armory, and thank you again for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. See ya!